As the weather gets warmer, there's going to be plenty of festivals to go around in the Triangle area, and that means good eating and food trucks. But what about the food trucks that need to be inspected? Well, we have someone here to talk a little bit about that. With us today to discuss the food safety and sanitation requirements for food vendors is James Smith with Wake County Environmental Services. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
James, of course, with the warmer weather, there's going to be a lot more outdoor events, many food trucks that will show up. What are the food and safety sanitation requirements for mobile food trucks in Wake County?
Food trucks are basically restaurants on wheels, and our rules treat them as such. Like a traditional restaurant, food trucks have to make sure that they're getting their food from approved sources, that they're holding it at the right temperatures, and that they're cooking it properly. Employees on food trucks need to make sure that they're washing their hands and that they're not contacting ready-to-eat foods with their bare hands. Food trucks also have to have a certified food protection manager aboard. They have to educate their employees on foodborne illnesses, and they have to report every day to a commissary for service and maintenance.
And to get certification, you can come to Wake County Environmental Services to get that.
Yeah, for the food protection manager certification, there are a lot of opportunities in the private sector as well, but we do offer a course here within Wake County.
How does your team handle the growing demand of inspections for these food trucks and food vendors becoming very popular?
Sure. You know, the whole restaurant business in Wake County is certainly booming, and food trucks are a big part of that. When a new food truck gets their permit, they're assigned to one of our inspectors. That inspector is responsible for making sure that the food truck is inspected on a regular basis. With so many food trucks, though, it really is, it's a team effort. Our inspectors often share information, for example, about where we've seen food trucks operating. And if we're out in the field doing other inspections, we'll often inspect the food trucks as we find them to help the other inspectors out.
How often are food trucks supposed to be inspected?
Food trucks are typically supposed to be inspected about 3 times a year. Push carts are typically supposed to be inspected about twice a year. In practice, there's a little bit of variation there. Some food trucks operate very seasonally, other ones operate year-round. Some food trucks only operate at festivals, and others move from office to office and operate just about every day. There are even quite a few food trucks that travel from county to county over the course of the year, and all of those things can affect how often we can actually find them to do their inspections.
Now, are the requirements for a brick-and-mortar restaurant any different than with a food truck? Obviously, one's on wheels, one's stationary, but are there some differences there that can be challenging for inspectors?
Sure, yeah. Food trucks, for the most part, do have very similar requirements to restaurants. A food truck, for instance, still has to have restaurant-grade equipment. They still have to make sure that they have adequate food storage facilities and hand washing facilities and ware washing facilities. Like you said, most of the differences between traditional restaurants and food trucks have to do with the mobile nature of the truck. A traditional restaurant will have permanent connections to water and sewage, for example. A food truck won't. So a food truck has to have their own water system and their own way of storing and disposing of wastewater. Another thing that's really important with food trucks that sets them apart from traditional restaurants is that they really don't have any wiggle room on keeping up with their maintenance. A food truck, because it has such a small space and limited facilities, has to cease operations until even what would seem like fairly minor violations are corrected. For instance, something simple like running out of water or having a refrigerator that's not working can cause a food truck to have to close until they can get that fixed.
You ask most patrons when they go into a brick-and-mortar restaurant, the first thing that they may look for is that sanitation sign.
One of the things that's actually changed just in the last couple of years is that food trucks now are actually required to have a grade posted just like a traditional restaurant. So if a resident of Wake County sees a food truck and they don't see that card, I would highly suggest that they call us so we can find out what's going on with it. Wake County residents are also always welcome to visit our website, www.wakegov.com/food. We have a lot of good information on there. We have sanitation scores for both restaurants and food trucks. We have copies of the rules that govern both restaurants and food trucks. and we have contact information for all of our staff. Residents are also, of course, welcome to call our main office number at 919-856-7400.
Okay, James Smith with Wake County Environmental Services, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.